turned out. Yeah, she turned. Hey. Damn. What did she do to make her parents that mad? Hey, yo, what's good, you guys? Y'all already know who it is, man. It's Boomer with Bolly Star, and today we is getting into the parents who hired a hitman to murder their 16-year-old daughter. Bruh. What? Let's get straight on into it, man. Make sure to leave a like, explode the video, subscribe if you're new so you can join up with the all-star gang up in this thing. Let's go.
When one of the brightest and most loving girls in a community is turning 16, you can only wish for the best in her life.
Janelle was a loving, very intelligent, smart young woman who wanted to be a doctor, who was an honor student.
That was the way people would describe Latania Janelle Carwell, widely known as Janelle. Surely she had a bright future ahead of her. So, on her 16th birthday on April 17th, 2017, which also happened to be Easter Sunday, she decided to have a cookout with her family and friends, not knowing that a few hours later, her fate was going to take her far from the life she had dreamt of. Now, Janelle had a seemingly pleasant and peaceful life next to her little sister, her mother Tanya Tripp, and her stepdad, Leon Tripp. As a teenage girl living in Richmond County, Augusta, Georgia, Janelle just wanted to become a doctor someday, which reflected the kind of heart that she had. And that is why what happened on the night of her birthday took everyone by surprise. On that night, her mom went to bed early, while Janelle and her stepdad stayed up celebrating, or at least that's what Janelle's mom told the police. But it seems like they didn't stay up that late, as it was reported that by midnight, Janelle was already in bed. However, a few minutes later, she was woken up by her stepdad, who asked her to go with him all the way to Clarks Hill, South Carolina. And since it was only a 28-minute drive, it didn't seem like that big of a deal to her, except that it was almost 1 a.m. in the morning. So you all...
Spectrum, America's leading internet and mobile provider, is bringing you seamless connectivity across all your devices.
You all may be wondering, why would he need his stepdaughter's help at this time of night?
What stepdad wanted his daughter to go with him to help another guy at 1 o'clock in the morning?
He said he was going to help a friend who was having problems with his car. And since Leon didn't know how to use his phone or even Google Maps, he probably thought it was a good idea to take a tech-savvy young woman to help him out. But then, the next day, when Janelle and her stepdad didn't make it back home, her mom started to worry. And just like any worried mom, she called the police to inform them of what she think may have happened.
Nothing.
Janelle and her stepdad had officially gone missing, and they were not picking up their phones. During the month that followed this awful event, Pastor Angela Hardin took the case to social media, pleading for clues and going live on Facebook with Janelle's mom, Tanya Tripp. And if the worry of a missing child wasn't enough already, Mrs. Tripp then revealed that she had an ongoing battle with brain and lung cancer that prevented her from going with Leon the night he and Janelle went missing.
I was inhaling too much of the smoke, so my husband told me to go in the house and lay down. So I did, because I couldn't breathe,
said the pleading mom. And at that point, people started to realize that this poor woman was regretting letting her daughter to go out so late at night. Her message surely started to touch people's hearts.
I need my baby home, like 15 days ago type home, because she has never been away from me this long.
People started to worry and came together as a community to support this worried mother. After all, Janelle was so loved by the people in the community, and they were eager to do anything to get her back home safely. They started gathering donations to put together a reward for anyone who had information regarding her whereabouts. Meanwhile, the police also started working on the case, and very soon, they came across a promising clue. A white pickup truck like the one Leon Tripp drove that night. This clue soon brought a sense of hope, as the truck was spotted near the neighborhood where Janelle and her family lived. But when they checked the vehicle for any traces of blood or any evidence of a crime, they found nothing. So, they decided to step up their search and track the victim's phones. And, to the surprise of local authorities, the phone records showed that neither Janelle nor her stepdad had been in Clarks Hill at all, which is the place where Janelle was supposed to help her stepdad out to fix his friend's broken car. And what made this even more alarming is the fact that a now 16-year-old teenage girl who used to be so active online had gone silent on all her social media accounts. Clearly, at this point, something was very wrong. Did someone steal her phone? Had something else happened along the way? Did someone steal their car and drop them off somewhere else that prevented them from getting back home? There were so many questions up in the air and no clear answers to any of them. But all of that was about to change as soon as someone came forward to say that Leon, the stepfather of Janelle, had been spotted in a location but without the presence of his stepdaughter. And soon enough, it was confirmed that Leon had actually been spotted in Atlanta, Georgia. With friends and contacts all over Atlanta, it seemed reasonable for Leon to go there, except for the fact that he was making these trips while people were looking for him and Janelle. So, it was time to track down Leon. But before doing that, the detectives involved in this case decided to dig a bit deeper into his past. It didn't take long for them to realize that in the past, Leon Tripp had been in prison due to assault charges that had something to do with cruelty to children. And on top of that, he had met Tanya while he was still behind bars. The two then fell in love and even got married while he was still in prison. And in fact, as soon as he got out of jail, he went to go live with Tanya and her family right away. It was definitely not the best place for a child like Janelle or her sister to be at. And now that law enforcement had this information in hand, Leon Tripp automatically became a wanted person, and officers got a warrant for his arrest on kidnapping charges. Finally, the truth was slowly coming to light. But there was just one person who didn't seem okay with any of this, and that person was Tanya Tripp, Janelle's mother.
She did show concern for her daughter, but when I asked her, hey, investigators believe that he's taken her, she was very defensive.
Everyone was concerned about Tanya's reaction to the news. I mean, obviously, she didn't want to think the worst of her husband, but at the same time, she had to understand that he was the one linked to her daughter's disappearance. So, shouldn't she be a bit more concerned? Was she blinded by love? Was she in denial? Was she delusional? Or was it something much worse? However, soon after that, it didn't take too long for things to make sense and for the pieces of this puzzle to come together. As investigators followed through and connected the dots, they naturally came to find Leon Tripp at a U-Haul facility in DeKalb County. And sure enough, the man was not alone, because right beside his side, there was Tanya Tripp herself.
We were extremely shocked when we found her and him actually together. And that's when we really got that sick feeling that, this case is really not heading in a good direction.
But according to Tanya at the time, she had a reason to be there. And she said she just so happened to be going to Atlanta and suddenly found Leon there by accident. But at this point, no one was buying her stories anymore. And Leon was quickly arrested on kidnapping charges, while Tanya was charged with hindering the apprehension of a criminal. Still, the one question that remained, that everybody was still wondering, where was Janelle? While the authorities kept trying to find answers to this question, other clues began to become clearer. For example, when Tanya told the police that Janelle and her stepdad had gone missing while going to Clarks Hill, South Carolina, what Tanya was actually doing was just sending the authorities in the wrong direction, buying more time for Leon to take Janelle wherever it was that he had taken her. Moreover, it was discovered that Tanya didn't have cancer at all. She had just made the whole thing up. This revelation obviously got many people upset, and Tanya just kept digging herself into a deeper and deeper hole of lies. As she was processed, she gave different interviews with slightly different stories. It was clear by then, though, that she was not sticking to the truth, whatever the truth was. And to make things even more complicated, Tanya's stories began to conflict with Leon's. While Tanya sustained that her partner and Janelle had gone to South Carolina, Leon, on the other hand, was saying that he had actually taken Janelle to Atlanta. Then when authorities confronted Tanya with Leon's story, she didn't know what to say.
Come to find out that she only had that initial story. she never prepared for the follow-ups.
In this big web of made-up stories that had little truth in them, it was hard for authorities to determine what had actually happened to Janelle. Two things, however, were clear. Tanya and Leon had something to do with the teenager's disappearance, and Janelle's case was no longer a missing persons investigation, but a homicide one. After all, prosecutors claimed that in one of his interviews, Leon had said that Janelle was no longer alive. Was this true? Or was it just another made-up story? Disturbingly, the truth came to light a little less than a year later, in late March 2018. This truth wasn't pretty, and it was definitely not what people were expecting.
We received a phone call from a citizen and had discovered what they believed to be human remains.
When an unlucky resident of Augusta, Georgia, was checking out the backyard of a vacant home, he came across a bone sticking up from a shallow grave. He, of course, quickly called the authorities to help him determine what was going on. And, to their surprise, those bones were the remains of Janelle Carwell. Since Janelle had gone to the dentist a few days before her birthday, authorities were able to identify her from dental records. Both Tanya and Leon were charged with murder. In fact, Leon even got the death penalty. But finding Janelle's body was not enough. The reason for this unfortunate death was still not clear, and no one really knew how Janelle's remains ended up in the backyard. The one thing, though, that started to become evident was that somehow Leon and Tanya were trying to get rid of Janelle. And how did the authorities figure that out? Well, it took a while to reach that conclusion, but finally, with enough proof, a motion was filed in June of 2020 by the prosecutors of this case, claiming that Leon and Tanya had unsuccessfully attempted to use a hitman against their own daughter on 3 different occasions. One in September of 2015, then 3 months later in December 2015, and one more time in October 2016. Why would these parents do that? Well, as of right now, no one really knows for sure, as this case is still open. But it is quite shocking to see how these attempts are so close in proximity to Janelle's 16th birthday in the first quarter of 2017. Perhaps they decided to take matters into their own hands after this hitman failed them multiple times. As of now, though, Leon and Tanya are still in jail, waiting for their respective separate trials that have been constantly pushed back, probably due to C-19 and the fact that Leon had changed attorneys more than a couple of times. It seems unlikely that these two will ever tell the public why they did what they did. I mean, they're not expert liars, but they're surely stubborn when it comes to standing by their made-up stories. As for the community of Richmond County in Augusta, Georgia, Janelle's absence left a hole in their hearts, but the efforts they made were not in vain, even when Tanya didn't even have the best of intentions, and all the unused reward money they collected was used to award the Janelle Carwell Scholarship to 3 high school students in 2019, the year that Janelle was supposed to graduate and start college to one day become a doctor. However, Janelle's bright and charming personality definitely left a mark in the lives of many people, and they just hope that justice is swiftly served to punish those who hurt her.
Alright, you guys, so that was the parents who hired a hitman to murder their 16-year-old daughter, man. Why did the mother do it? That's what I want to know. That's her child. Like that. I mean, the stepdad, you know what I'm saying? He married into the family. They don't know this dude, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just obvious. But the fact that the mom was in it, bro. Y'all let me know your thoughts about down in the comment section down below, man. I'm sick, bro. Like, I felt this all the way down to my stomach, to my intestines, bro. Like, just finding out that the mom does not want to tell why she did it, or the fact that she was even in on something like this, bro. That's just crazy to me. But again, y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section down below, man. You already know it's Boomer with Bali Star. Make sure to leave a like, explore the video, subscribe if you're new so you can join up with the All-Star gang up in this thing. And I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. 100. Ooh!
She turned up, she turned out. Yeah, she turned.
Pass out in a Uber while a bitch will give me top. Yeah. Ain't about that cake, don't be hitting up my line. And my bra got have that shape, it be holding up my time. I just had to break the bank and go ball.
If you know too much, get wiped out, wiped out.